we've talked a lot about your backstory, but so tell me like more about not just how you got going, but why you got going initially. Like what need did you see that wasn't being met, and why did you decide to try to fill that?
Originally we got started because people at our gym looked to my wife Amber and I as folks who were kind of doing something they were hearing a lot about. So we were kind of like an educator. We were somebody who was already doing what they were interested in. So they would ask us questions about paleo and why sourcing matters, where your stuff comes from. And so we realized that there was a place there that folks weren't really getting their needs met. And we started the cooking part of that basically just out of having a friend come over for dinner, and we sent her home with some Tupperware of leftovers. And she was like, wow, this is fantastic. I didn't have to cook all week. Everything was good. I knew where it came from. And that's pretty cool. I'm too busy to handle all this stuff myself. And once we did that for her, the next week, she said, hey, what if I give you $100 or whatever it was to, basically do this again for the whole week, and we'll just plan it and I'll pay you for it. So that happened. And then two other people at the gym said, hey, I heard you did this for so-and-so. Can I get in on that? And that's kind of how really the basis of it started. We launched like a pilot program 4.5 years ago, 10 people just to see if it could work. And then the next week, we had 20 people say, hey, I'd like to do that too. And I was like, whoa, now we got to cook it for 30 people. And when I say we at that point, I mean Amber. She did everything.
Nice.
So that's kind of how we got started. Why we got started is because we saw a change in our performance. And I mean that as a lifestyle, working out, sleep, all those things that people already know about. All of those things changed for us. And Amber's mom had some long undiagnosed heart diseases, multiple that where the doctors were treating the symptoms and not the issue. And so she was on all these medications and stuff. And once we did our own research and found out that, eating kind of the way we do would affect somebody in a very positive way like that, we introduced that to her, and she, throughout the remainder of her life, had a very good quality of life. It literally had changed everything about how she felt and how she dealt with day-to-day stuff. But unfortunately, her heart disease was too far gone to really have a significant impact. But, that was kind of the impetus when Amber realized this makes a difference in people, and also as a kind of way to honor her mom. That's why we started.
Okay. So you guys got started CrossFitting, and then you guys implemented lifestyle changes, especially the nutritional part, and, started doing a paleo type diet and saw a huge change there, and then got Amber's mom going and saw huge changes there. And then essentially people started asking you about stuff, or asking about, trying to follow paleo type diet and how to do that. Cause at the time, there just wasn't a lot of information out there.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about what caused you to I try to I was really fortunate because I know how to cook, and so I always was able to do that. And I understand that, what made you actually cook a meal for another person, as the step from just telling them to doing something for them? Do you see what I'm saying? What made that step happen?
Well, so I guess, let's see if I can answer your question correctly. I think that actually going to cook for somebody else because they asked.
Okay. Okay.
Is that
yeah, no, I just had never, that's something, we've talked about this stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just curious, when somebody's like, well, how do I do this? I personally have always just been and here's some recipe sites, but that's what I mean. Somebody said, how do I do this? And then you said
gotcha.
Yeah. And then you said oh, I'll show you, I'll make the meal for you. I mean, I'm just really curious about, and I think that's really awesome. And I think that says a lot about you and Amber, you know what I mean? About, and why you guys got into this and that step. Because, you see what I'm saying? That's why it's so, and it's funny because you're inside looking out, because that was your natural thing to do and taking that step. But that's just not what I would have done as the next step. Do you see what I'm saying?
I think it just started out as hospitality, honestly. Okay. We're both from the South. well, I'm from West Virginia, so you can argue that that's a different story. But Amber's, from North Carolina, so it's part of the Southern hospitality. I mean, she's a good cook. Her mom taught her how to cook. She's really good with stuff. And like I said, somebody just came over just as a friend, just to have dinner with us. And we sent her away with some extra food. And then she said, "Hey, this is a lot easier if you do it. If I give you money, would you do it?"
Gotcha.
Sure.
So you really started helping her out because she thought the quality of your food was awesome, and obviously it was more convenient for her, and she was really enjoying. And I assume she started seeing like differences in her performance and body composition, and so she started noticing a lot of positive changes. Good. And I mean, and that stayed pretty constant as you guys have gone along. I mean, how is that, the why and the effect kind of changed over the years, like, and the reasons that you do, like you said, you were doing it from a hospitality standpoint for that first meal.
Yeah.
Like, how has that changed, over the years?
I think at the base, it hasn't. I don't think any successful small business owner would still be in business if they didn't care about what they do. That's our goal, is to get good food to people who don't have time or interest to make it happen for themselves.
Gotcha.
So I don't think the root cause has changed any at all. The fact that we monetized it is just, we were tired of working for other people.
Sure. So you were already looking at an entrepreneurial, you were already thinking in an entrepreneurial direction, or receptive to going in an entrepreneurial direction. And this opportunity manifested, and it manifested in a lot of ways that you guys were, passionate about and excited about.
Well, I had already quit my career that I've been for 15 or 16 years, which is advertising, and I was running a boot camp. So I already kind of had that spirit behind me. Amber was still working for one of the big buildings uptown. And with this thing, honestly, this thing presented itself. It wasn't something she was looking for. This opportunity presented itself based out of that conversation we just had with this girl, and her name is April. Big ups to April. Then there was a need. There was a way out, I guess. There was a successful strategy for getting out of working for somebody else and doing things on your own terms around something that you actually care about, something that you're passionate about, and not, worrying about what other people want to direct you towards.
Gotcha. So switching gear, laddering up. So you guys have been going over the years. Can you walk me through, in just a couple of minutes, very, very big picture, like what you guys do, from start to finish in terms of like, from the food existing, in a farmer's field to, somebody putting it in their mouth. Like, can you walk me through, the steps that are involved in that?
Sure. Well, initially, like I said, we started small, and we've kind of ramped everything from the way that Amber and I ate. So, we would go to the farmer's market on Saturday. We would cook and prep and cook all day Sunday, and you'd have your meals for the week. Well, our business initially started as that. We did the same thing for other people. So we were supplying a week's worth of food to folks by dealing with the same small scale producers that we used.
Oh, cool.
Right. So first, like 10 to 20 folks, it was just, hey, instead of going to Shelley Profit for our own beef, hey, Shelley Profit, can you supply us with 20 times that? And so we've scaled from there. And, once you get to a certain level, you have to scale everything. So some of those really small scale producers, we've either added, a second or a third, or we've gone with a larger scale producer. The quality of what we do hasn't changed. We still do the same thing we did when we started, because it's based off of how we eat and how we, our own opinions on how other folks should eat, the experiences that we have through our own research, through our personal development, and so forth. So, the way that it goes from farm to fork, unfortunately that term is overused, it's literally that. I mean, we have fresh ingredients come from a truck driven by a farmer into our back door. We take it into a refrigerator. We cook it in our kitchen. We put it back in the refrigerator. We put it in packaging, and we ship it out once they place an order.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we handle all the sourcing, the cooking, and the packaging and the distribution all internally from one hub.
Gotcha. Okay. So if I wanted to do that, I would basically have to go, to my local farmer's market, or, line up, go to, and I think what some, nobody knows about this, because I've done this before. You basically have to go, and it's not like the grocery store. Like, you have to go to separate, this guy does beef, and then this lady does eggs, and then this other lady does, these vegetables, and this other lady does some. So it's like, you're working your way through the market. So I would have to go, complete my shopping list. Well, one, I would have to get all my recipes together and figure out like what recipes and what ingredients I needed. And then, I would have to go to a farmer's market and source all that stuff and find all that stuff. A lot of it's seasonal, so sometimes stuff might not be on my list. And then, I would need to, so from there I would need to go home and cook everything. I would know how to cook. And then two, I would, how to cook and how to make the meals and the recipes and everything, put that together. If I was going to prepare everything for the whole week and not just for the day, I would need to Tupperware everything out and put it in my fridge or freezer. Is that pretty accurate?
It's very accurate. And don't forget I would like to tell people there's also a cleanup to all that too.
Oh yes, my favorite, cleanup. Yes. And all the dirty dishes and everything. So you guys handle, obviously you guys do all of that, but since you're on scale, you're able to just do that a lot more efficiently and a lot more, you basically solve that problem for people that are looking to do that, but might not necessarily have. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we do it all from like you said, from the recipe development, and don't forget creativity in that, because everybody hates eating chicken and broccoli over and over again. Recipe development, sourcing the ingredients, prepping the ingredients, cooking the ingredients, and the cleanup. Everything just comes to you and it's all ready to eat. And once you're done, you throw away recycle a plastic tray.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. So yeah, cleanup's a snap.
Yeah, exactly.
Think of that. Yeah, make me think of the doing the dishes commercial things. It's cleanup.
Yeah, and it's, you said something. You said if I were to do this for myself, I thought you were going to go.
How much time you think that would take me? Okay, so like, say I was doing say I was trying to do 3 meal. Actually, let's say like 3 meals a day. So how much time you think I would spend like prepping and sourcing and cleanup? I mean, just ballpark in a week. How much do you think?
I mean, it would take us as a couple, I can tell you from our own experience, it would take Saturday morning, let's say 8 till 11 or 12 to hit all the farmers markets. And then honestly, the majority of the day on Sunday.
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean, by the time
so your whole weekend.
Yeah. By the time you destroy your kitchen, cook everything, and then clean up your kitchen, put everything away, it's like, man, let's sit down and, watch a football game Sunday evening and go to bed. That's about it.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, so you pretty much were running the business for yourself. Like the business was you.
I'm telling you, the whole thing is scaled off of us. Like I said, I thought a second ago you were going to say, when I do this for myself, if you were going to go down the road of if I was going to start a business like this myself, because we've actually had a lot of people approach us about that. How did you start? And I'm like, you know what? You got to start with the relationships. It's not as easy as, let me tell you from experience, there's not a manual on how to do it.
Sure.
If there is a manual, it's something that we or somebody like us is going to write, because it hasn't been developed yet.
No, I hear you, and that's what I mean. Like, it's one thing, and like I was talking about that jump before. Like, it's one thing to explain to somebody like what a paleo type diet is, and the benefits that they can have, from that. But it's another thing to be like implementing it actually. Like, that's the harder part, in my opinion, and that's why I think people go, have problems with it. It's not the knowing about it; it's the actually doing it.
For sure.
What I mean? Because like, again, like I was really fortunate because I knew how to cook, and I still find it tedious. I mean, that's the thing. Like I still find the prep tedious at times. So I'd have all strategies for that. But, actually, so we didn't really talk about it before, but like real briefly, somebody like me, somebody that's training hard, that's interested in being more healthy, like why, actually we didn't address that. Like, what is the benefit? Say I'm eating whatever. I know things have changed over the years, but I'm eating just like whatever we call regular is. Like, what are the benefits to me to moving to a more paleo type diet? What you guys espouse in terms of like what to eat ingredient wise. Like, what are the benefits to me for that?
Well, I think it all goes back to inflammation, which is the root of all of this, right? No matter whether you're concerned about your performance in the gym or just your lifestyle, how you feel during the day, how you sleep at night. There's a lot of studies about other disorders, depression and all that. But basically, if you take out the things that we've developed over the years in labs, and genetically modified organisms. If you can get all of that stuff out of your diet and just eat real food, that's really what we are all about, both personally and as a company.
Gotcha.
You know?
Gotcha. So I would note, I'll just go and throw it. The big things that I've noticed. I mean, my performance got better. I did better in the gym. Yeah.
Sure.
You go when you say inflammation, I just think about feeling beat up. You know what I mean? Like I definitely felt like my recovery was better from the gym. I got better results faster. I slept better. I just felt better during the day. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's just from whatever you want to say, like just eating cleanly or just not having junk in there. I just felt, I just feel better all the time.
Sure. Makes you lethargic.
Yeah. Not even just lethargic. Like my moods were more even and better. And it's like serenity. It's like almost like a serenity thing. It's just like instead of like dealing with I say that because I notice it especially like when I travel or I have to eat crappy food on the road.
Yes.
It's like an itchiness that I start getting that I'm just like, I just don't feel, it's like when you miss an hour of sleep or something, like you're just a little bit off. You're not like jacked up.
Sure.
But you just starts adding up for you. So, and I assume you've had people that, weight loss, you've seen people lose weight. And I mean, you mentioned Amber's mom, like you've seen people, promote their own wellness and, get away from some chronic disease stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that, the two big places that we make a difference is really in convenience and then just the cleanliness of the food, because we always get the feedback about those two things. It's, like we have a testimonial on our site about this woman who had kids, and the first time she didn't bounce back quite as easily. Then she found, not only our food, but this sort of way of eating and cutting out all the junk. And, she got back from pregnancy very, very quickly. She was able to rebound, again, the way that she felt, how she was able to deal with her kids, her attitude. She was able to get back to the gym a little quicker, saw better results that way. So, yeah, I think that, just the cleanliness of the food is what it's all about.
Yeah. And I mean, I can appreciate her position as a parent myself. It's just like, you have the kid and I mean, you're focusing on the kid so much that you are looking at convenience foods. I mean, you guys were talking about, cooking the whole weekend. Like that's not possible when you got, a 6-month-old, or a 3-month-old. But the way that most convenience foods are terrible. Do you know what I mean? Like
right.
That's the thing. Like, I mean, Hamburger Helper, box meals, that's the thing. When I run into people that are just like, oh, I just eat everything out of box meals or bag meals or whatever. It's just invariably they are some continuum of sick or not fit. You know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
Yeah, I remember reading her story, and that was a really, really awesome thing. But of just that really emphasis on food quality first emphasis on food quality first can make such a big difference, in somebody's whole life. And, I think that's what's the amazing thing about it and what I feel like. But again, it's challenging because of the convenience, like we've already talked about. I mean, and I'm sure you get this question a lot, but like the cost. I mean, a lot of people say that, this stuff, farmers markets are so expensive, or this, eating clean is so expensive, like, what do you say in response to that?
I think a lot of people say this, but you can invest in your health up front or after the fact. So, you can eat less than quality foods now and skate around on the dollar menu and see what that does to you internally, and then pay a doctor and a pharmacist later to fix it. Or you can invest in your future in the present.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. It's kind of like, sometimes you could probably equate it to saving for your retirement. You're going to have money at the end, or you're going to have it now. Like, you're going to have your health at the end, or you're going to have it now. You're going to have somebody fix it later, or you're going to go ahead and, play offense instead of defense.
Gotcha.
So in terms of cost, it's up to the individual. In terms of, when you look at like small scale producers, there's a lot that goes into how they're able to not only time, think about their time too. They come to a farmer's market, they have to make it worth their while. They work all week as well as the weekends, the farmers markets. They have to make money to support their own families. If you buy from them, you're supporting a local economy. It's also tax free. If you buy it from the supermarket, those people have made that or at McDonald's, they made that food cheaper by it's not completely whole food. And I don't mean Whole Foods. I mean whole food, like real food. And B, they do it in such scale and with so many preservatives that it has a longer shelf life. Right. And so, cost is, I don't know, it's a tough thing to get around. The cost of our meals, I feel, they're better than a lot of our competitors. I can tell you that. And I feel like you pay for what you get.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I feel like, well, that's the thing. Like, I think about eating a Big Mac versus like eating, what you guys put out. And it's clear. I mean, that's the thing. It's weird. Like, I remember, I was on the road and I hadn't had like a McDonald's burger in like a long time. And I ate one and it was weird. It was like, it didn't taste that great, but there were like certain parts of my brain that lit up that hadn't fired in a while. It was like, it was like, oh my God, like, what is this? Like, and it's the same way like when I eat like candy or something, like, I don't like sugar. I can't really do sugar, but like, Halloween, if I have a piece of candy, it's like, oh, that's what sweet tastes like, and like a part of my brain just like flips out. But whereas like when I eat what you guys put out, it's just so much more like satisfying. Does that, you know what I mean? Like, it's like,
well, I hope so.
It's, I'm not in the not getting hungry sense, but in the like coming home sense. Like, I think about like what my parents and grandparents cooked and, I get that feeling as opposed to just like, oh, fun. It's like, oh, this is good food.
Yeah. It's always like you always hear that, people say these days, sugar is the new tobacco.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I mean, absolutely. Anything containing those sorts of ingredients, triggers something in your mind that is very much like an addict, because in fact, that's what it is.
Yep.
I mean, the more sugar you eat, the more sugar you eat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've seen people.
And so once you
cut
that stuff out of your diet, you learn to appreciate the taste of actual food.
Right. Right.
Which I think is huge.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think I think people just have to make that decision about like, they do want to be healthier and quality food factors into that. Like, if you want to be healthy, like not quality food just doesn't really factor into that, but then again, like, like why, like your meals, going back to like, well, how do I do this on my own? Like, yeah, when you put it in that context, like me actually doing it on my own, like not even factoring in like the time saving and the cleanup and the prep. Yeah, you guys are actually, I mean, it's almost like I'm paying for ingredients only, like when I buy your meals. Cause that's roughly what I was spending anyway, like for the ingredients. And so I'd already made that decision that I was going to eat like high quality foods. And then the bonus for me was just like, I mean, like it already comes in, it's prepackaged, it's convenient, it's delicious, but the cost was essentially, something I was already comfortable with from paying before. I mean, do you guys ever talk about that with some of your
absolutely.
On board?
If you look at, you got to look at the quality and you got to look at your grocery list. So if you go out and buy all the things that we're putting in our meals and keep all your receipts and add them up, I think it's a different discussion, right? So it's costing roughly the same. We may even be cheaper. Yeah. If you go look at what you spend at Whole Foods in the farmer's market, come home, look at that, and then, hey, you've already spent more than if you would have purchased our meals. You've also got all of the time to invest anyway, which I'm not an opponent of. I love for people to share the experience of cooking a meal. The reason that we exist is because people don't have the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, cool. That's a really great conversation. I really appreciate you taking the time to, go over all of that stuff. And I really liked hearing some of the stuff that you and I just hadn't talked about before in terms of backstory and, talking about, cause I really believe in what you guys do. I think what you guys do is awesome, even beyond the meals. I think, your mission is amazing. So, thanks for taking the time for, to go over this with me, man.
Absolutely.
All right.
Anytime.
Yeah. Take it easy, man.
See ya.